Hi everyone. In this lecture, you will complete the Kafka producer implementation. You will first create the Kafka template bean to use it in sending messages to Kafka. And to create a Kafka template, you will need to create a default Kafka producer factory bean and also create a map as a bean to hold and return the configuration data related with the Kafka producer. Alright, let's first create a configuration class for Kafka producer, where we will pass the producer config that we defined in our configuration file. So let's create a package first named com microservices demo Kafka producer config, and then create a class called Kafka producer config, which again we will mark as configuration, and here we will specify two generic variables, k extends serializable and v extends specific record base, where specific record base is a class from our library. Next, let's inject Kafka config data and Kafka producer config data objects. Then we will create a bean to return map string object, which will include our configuration properties for Kafka producer. And then we will create a bean to construct a producer factory, where we will return a default Kafka producer factory object. We will pass the producer configuration that we created in previous method as a parameter here. And finally, we will create a bean to return a Kafka template and pass the producer factory as a parameter in the constructor. Here Kafka template is actually a wrapper class around Kafka producer, and it provides some methods to be able to send data to Kafka easily. Alright, let's now fill the properties in the producer config method. First, we need to set bootstrap servers config, where we will get the configuration from Kafka config data. And then we will set schema registry URL key and value by again reading it from Kafka config data. And then we will set the producer configurations from Kafka producer config data object, like key and value serializers, batch size, linear MS, compression type, acknowledgements, request timeout milliseconds, and retry count. Let's now create an e-package called service and create an interface called Kafka producer. Here we will again specify two generic variables, k extends serializable and v extends specific record base. We will have a single send method here with three parameters, topic name, key, and message. We can then implement this interface using a class called Twitter Kafka producer. For the generic variables replacement, we will use long and Twitter hour model. So our key will be long, and the value will be Twitter hour model, which is the class we created in our Kafka model module. Let's first annotate this class with service annotation, and then create a log variable. Then we can inject Kafka template to this Spring Bean with again long and Twitter hour model generic types for the key and value. In the send method, let's first write some information logs. Then call the Kafka template send method with topic name, key and message as the parameters. This will return a listenable feature, and as a generic parameter, it will include send result with the long activity hour model generic types again. Then we will add a callback method to this future object. And in the onSuccess method, we will get metadata from result. And then logged topic, partition, offset, and timestamp information from metadata. And on the failure method, we will log that we couldn't able to send data to Kafka. We can actually create a new method here called addCallback, and then move this callback part into this method and call it from the send method. Here, since the send method of Kafka template is an asynchronous operation, it returns a listenable feature. And to get a response later asynchronously, we simply added a callback and overrided onSuccess and onFailure methods. Alright, finally I will add a predestroy annotation on a close method and then check first if the Kafka template is not null, and if so, call the Kafka template destroy methods by logging it first. Normally Spring closes this Kafka template prior to shutdown. I just added this method to call the Kafka template destroy method also explicitly to be sure that it is destroyed successfully before application shutdown. Great, producer is done. We can integrate these modules to microservice we created previously. Let's do that in the next lecture.